Oh, hello. My name's Aaron Short. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I've lost my mind. Hi, how's everyone doing? Oh, I have a nice crowd today. Everyone's interested in the pod go. I see. Very good. Okay, let me see here. Please let me know where you are watching from and how you're doing today. Okay. Tone Wars, how you doing? I hear you're going live with the Podgo this evening as well, playing different style of music to myself. At 8 p.m. we'll be there watching. We put you guys on the screen and bring you down here. Hi Chad Boston, how you doing? How are you enjoying Ecamm Live? Whenever I go live, I love the software, but there's a few little things I find about this program that I have to keep changing all the time. I have to talk to you about that one of these days. Pooh Ninja, pod go is go. That's right. Alec Bourne, evening all. Hey Jared. So part of today's conversation will be about Alec's recent discoveries. Actually, it's not really discovery. Alec is always finding cool stuff with MIDI, but he's finally found something I think is worth investigating. And we'll discuss that after the pod go. Hey Chad, great stream last night. I heard Eric mention about the new pitch shifter coming in the future. That's really exciting. And that will be part of this conversation as well, of course. This may even be my full review right here today. I will see. It's meant to be an initial impressions. Kevin, what's up? Tone Ward says, hi, Chad. Alec Bourne. Okay, Alec, we'll discuss this. He says he's looking into this himself. We'll discuss this. Maybe the lack of MIDI might put you off, because I know you're a MIDI fan. Check out Alec's group on Facebook, the MIDI Madness. It drives you crazy when you do the MIDI stuff. We need to talk about MIDI. It's very important. Pooh Ninja says, hey, everybody's happy Monday. That's right. Happy Monday indeed. Patsy Smith, Patsy and Bernard are here. Tone Wars is doing well. Kevin Busby's losing it too. We're all losing it. Chad's in Washington. Very cool. Alex in Italy. I'm in New York City. Pooh Ninja's on Moonbase beta. So that means he's lost it too. New Jersey. Oh, Tone Wars is talking about the command center tonight. I think I covered that last week, didn't I? Just kidding, Tone Wars. We all have a different take on these things, and I think I barely scratched the surface. So remember, you can have anything anywhere now. That can be really, really useful. I think the more flexible they make these products, the better for everybody. No, Kevin, Jared's first take on Podgo was last week. Check out his channel. It's rather good. Hello, my friend. Thanks for joining me. Defcon Clark in the house. Oh, look at this. Very nice. It does have USB MIDI, so not entirely lost. I agree. But here's my question. We're going to cover, at the end of this, I want to briefly talk about the Quantaloop app. So this would not work with that, just to clarify, right, Alec? Because that's rather, what you found there is rather a game changer. Chad Boston, thank you, my good friend. He's starting the train running with a $2.99 super chat. That's awesome. I really appreciate it. Oh, UK. We got someone from the UK. Good. And Podgo, awesome. Yeah, Podgo tonight, right? Tonight is Podgo. Hey, get off my stream, Jared. This is my stream right now. You don't get to take over right now. So, who here has a Podgo? Put your hand up if you have one. Let me know how you have it. I want you to share your comments with me. I've already got some initial impressions. I didn't want to come in here today and just, kind of guess things. I wanted to be prepared for today. I've made an electric patch and an acoustic patch. For anyone that hasn't seen it yet, I will go through what I've done and what it can do. And I'll cover the limitations. Obviously, there's limitations, right? This is not a helix. This is a kind of mini helix with a load of features taken away, but some rather cool features left in. So I'll cover that. I want you to put in the chat as well what you've found with it and how you feel about it. I definitely want to research it. Now, here's the thing. The full helix, if someone says to me, what should I buy? I'm going to say buy the full helix if you can afford it and if you've got the space for it, right? Because it does everything. What I've found from having the Stomp and the HX effects, thank you, Chad, and even the Pod Go, is they all have things taken away. this is obviously not good. When you use the HX effects, you can end up thinking, well, it's smaller and lighter, but now I need those extra send and returns. I need those extra blocks. I need the extra DSP, especially as the new effects coming out now are using more DSP. So I keep going back to the full helix because why limit yourself? Unless you're literally traveling on the subway, which I'm not right now anyway. But if you're walking to a gig, okay. That's why I like the idea of the Pod Go as an all-in-one, take to rehearsal, take to the gig. You can run it into your amp and bypass the amp and cab and send that to front of house. Really great pedal for someone doing that. But you're not going to walk to a gig with a helix on your back. Well, I'm not strong enough to do that. But the angle I want to take on this as well is the acoustic side. Which one of these devices is best for acoustic? I know a lot of acoustic players want to use a smaller pedal. They don't want a big helix. Even just the thought of how it looks for an acoustic player, I'm thinking HX Effects, HX Stomp, or Pod Go. So that's what I'm going to have on my mind today. Which one of those is best for that situation? Okay, so let me show you the first patch that I've done here. And this is what the editor looks like. I don't know if you've seen this. It basically, I didn't want to unbox on the screen. Some people don't like me doing that. So I unboxed it, I updated it. It did crash the first time. So I tried again. It worked fine the second time. So don't freak out if that happens to you. It's a different editor. I love the way the Helix now updates from the editor. With this one, you have to get the Line 6 updater, install that, update the firmware, install the Pod Go edit software, and use it from there. So already that's one up to the Helix. I love the fact that the editor now is all in one. Having said that, this editor does have some cool features about it, which I'll show you. I mean, I like the graphics and everything for a start. It's really cool the way you can click here and just assign what you want with a click of a button of your mouse. That's really cool. I would say for me, this is easier to use. It's kind of more user-friendly looking and acting than the regular HX edit. I think that's my first impression. This is very easy just to grab and start using. Obviously, the demographic for this product is, I mean, I don't want to say beginners, obviously beginners, yeah, beginners and people looking to get into digital. So they don't want to like give you too much crazy stuff. So when you load up a patch, let me load up a blank patch here. This is what you get in case you haven't seen this. You get this all ready to go. You've already got a patch laid out. You don't have to think. So you've got your input here, which has the input gate, as always. You do have USB in, which is great for playing music. I just realized that. I don't know why I didn't know this before, and I want to make a video on it, but I just realized that with this adapter, you can just connect this to your phone and connect this to the Helix, and it will just play music without any trouble. So that's a really cool thing to know about, to have that to plug in there and play your music. I haven't done that yet, but I'm sure that's why there's USB. Now, Alec will look into the MIDI side of that for me because there's no MIDI on this pedal, which is kind of a downer because there's so much you can do with MIDI. Having said that, they had to save money. This is a very affordable pedal, so I get it. Don't try and think this is more than it is. So then you have the noise gate, which is great because the HX Effects does not have that. Then you have a volume pedal, a wah pedal, which you can change by clicking here. So all the regular wahs are there from the Helix. Then you have any effects you want, any effect you want, the send return, the effects loop, then an amp, which can also be a preamp, which means that you can have, for you acoustic people out there, it means that you can select the tube preamp and use that for your acoustic, which I think is very cool. That's something that I will show you on my acoustic patch. Then you have a cab, which can also be an impulse response. Again, for acoustic players, that's cool. That's really cool. Then you have a EQ pedal, which Tone Wars, I use this as a boost to push the amp harder. Obviously, you can do that. Or you can use as an EQ, which is also great for acoustic, I have to say. And then two more effects. These effects can be anything you want. And most of the Helix effects are in here, but not some of the more processor intensive ones. And you have to remember that. It's actually interesting. I feel like when the Pod Go was announced, it was almost like, well, it's kind of a Helix it's kind of like a mono Helix with a bit less flexibility. But already 2.91 has already changed that because there's a load of cool new stuff in the Helix that this can't do. And we know, it's on record that this won't have the advanced pitch sounds and those things. So this is not, that already this is on a footing of, this will not be the ultimate acoustic pedal. because of those reasons. But will the stomp be enough with its extra blocks and its only 3 buttons? Will that be enough? I don't know. I think so far I'm thinking this is great for someone that plays acoustic and electric, has an amp, wants to get into modeling, wants something they can carry around. And this is for that, this ticks all the boxes. But will it acoustic is the title of my next video, and we'll investigate that today as well. But like I said, you do get 4 blocks and you can move them anywhere you want. So it's easy. You load it up and you have a patch. All you got to do is choose your amp. There's a cab there already, and you can start playing the guitar. So on my patch, I did this. This is how I set mine up. I had the input here. I have the expression here, which actually that's a volume pedal. So I'm going to have that at the end. All you do is drag it to the end. So now I have a wah here. Then I have this EQ I'll use as a boost. And then the air apparent is awesome because with snapshots, you can have it as an overdrive or a distortion. So it's really flexible. So I love that pedal for that. Then you do have this send and return, which I'm not using. Then you have the Fullerton Bright, that's the amp. I've got impulse response. I love these impulse responses here from York Audio. So I've got one of those in there. That's the sample rate. It's 1024, that's fine. And then I've got a reverb. I've got a delay. I've got a volume pedal. I've got a looper. That could be something else. Doesn't have to be a looper. Remember, you can just drag the looper to the beginning, and then you can use that to set up your patch, and then you can bring it back to the end when you're done, and you can use it as a looper. And here's the output block. So it's really easy to use, and you can still use snapshots as well. All you do is choose the item that you want, select the parameter, choose snapshots, and it will become a snapshot. Or you can assign it to a button. So yes, super simple. I didn't have any problems understanding this. The only issue I came across was the delay. I didn't realize that the scale has to be 100%, otherwise you get like a stereo delay, 2 sounds. So if you're wondering why that happens, set the scale to 100%. That's the only thing that confused me, and thanks to Ben Vesco for telling me how to fix that. So let me grab my guitar. I'll just go to the comments first, and I'll play you my patch. Oh, thank you, Tone Wars, for the super chat. Appreciate that, my friend. I'll be tuning in tonight. I hope you're going to be in HD tonight. Podgo edit is cute and well thought out. It is. It's more. I think it's friendlier than the. than the Helix one, and very simple. I think that's the whole aim of this product, right? Grab and go, simple, no muss, no fuss, as they say. David says the HX Effects needs the Studio Tube preamp model, and it would be perfect. I agree. I'm leaning towards HX Effects for acoustic because of the MIDI, because of the power, because of the buttons, but it doesn't have the Studio Tube preamp. Now tell me how you use that, because I've only just started to use that today. How do you use that, and why do you like it? Do you think it sounds like a real tube preamp? I'm going to try that now, but I know a lot of people use that. I'd love to see an acoustic amp, so you can actually have the EQ and things of an acoustic amp. I know that's just you can't really model an acoustic amp. It's just a mixer basically, but that would be a nice. I've come to the conclusion now that Line 6 are not catering towards acoustic. Like their main customer is the electric guitarist, and that's fine. But there is a lot that we can do to use the products for other things as well. Of course, they're quite flexible. Alex said there is MIDI USB, but there are serious limits with respect to the stomp. Definitely different idea. Both of them. Yeah, so I heard a rumor that there was a post on Facebook saying that the HX stomp may get the command center, which would really open that up. So that's the thing, isn't it? Whenever there's a new firmware update, the whole thing can change about which product should I be using, which I guess is a good thing and a bad thing. Chad Boston, 100 underlined twice. Oh, you did it. Oh, okay. It doesn't. Did you do a happy face? It doesn't show me on here. Can we plug in 2 guitars at the same time? Well, that's why I'm glad that Jared and Chad are here, because I don't know. Can you plug in 2 guitars? Well, you can only have one path. Let me just show you the screen again. You can only have one path, so no, you can't split. On an HX Stomp, you can split. This product is really for your guitar. You plug it in. You use this path here. You can use presets, of course, and you just play. It's about simplicity, and it's about value for money. Would you agree with me, my friends? Let me know. So I dialed in the patch, which actually is pretty much what I would do. this is the kind of patch that I would do for everything that I do. And yeah, it sounds the same as the helix, to be honest. Let me just mute my microphone. So I really, this pedal is absolutely amazing. This, let me just show you this one. It doesn't have the full tone, what's it called? The King of Tone pedal. But this one by itself with snapshots is amazing because you have the overdrive or the distortion. So I'm using that for both effects. Normally I have an overdrive and distortion. But I can use this one and then snapshot 2 for distortion, for overdrive. So it's just a bit of a light crunch, and then 3 can have that kind of thrashy 90s rock thing. So I think that's one of the best ideas they ever had to put that pedal in there because it's really versatile. And yes, I'm very thankful they did that. Kevin Busby, thank you, my friend. I'm coming back to the chat in a second. I just want to focus on these ones. I'll come back to the chat, then we'll do the acoustic sounds. Now I'm going to give you a free tip. Actually, I stole this from somebody else, so it's fine. This is exactly what I want in my patch. I'm thinking about as a singer, I just want to hit snapshot 1, 2, 3, or 4, and then maybe press mode to go in to turn individual effects on or off. So all I ever need is a noise gate, which I've got on for this for the heavy patch. All I ever need is clean, crunchy, and heavy with the noise gate, the wah, which I use seldom, but it's nice to have one. The EQ I would normally use as a level boost, but I'll show you how I fix that in a second. I'm using that right now to push the air apparent. Let me see what it sounds like without it. This is the heavy sound. Like without that push, it sounds like this. It's just weak because these pickups are so weak, but it's subtle, but it's much fuller. So I love it for that. And then the amp and the cab obviously is great that they have IRs in here. Really great. York Audio IRs, I do like them a lot. I definitely need a reverb. I definitely need a delay. I definitely need a volume pedal. And the looper could go, and the looper could be a boost instead. But what I do, because I like having a looper around, so what I do is, this is something that's really useful for the stomp as well. When I turn on my delay, I only ever turn on my delay when I want to do single note stuff. Okay, because I want it to fill out the sound more. So what I do is I have the boost on the delay setting. So rather than have a delay and a clean boost and have to turn on the delay and then the clean boost both at the same time, which I used to do, which was silly, because all I got to do is turn the level of the delay up and use that for my right, because I want that anyway. I never want to do that without the delay on because it just sounds too... I need that delay if I'm the only guitar player. So that's what I do, and I could probably do a better delay than that. But I have the delay when it turns on also turn up the level. Okay, instead of using snapshots. So that's a really cool thing on the Stomp as well. And then, of course, you can also, what is cool about this product is you can plug in a 2-button foot switch like the Mosky or the TT2, whatever you want to use. You can plug that in and assign things to that as well. So that could be really useful. That's worth remembering. You cannot do that on the HX Effects, which is a shame. That would be great if you could. And also, the HX Effects does not have a noise gate on the input block, which is worth remembering. The HX Effects, as much as I love it, does have a few of those issues that the other products do not. When I say issues, I mean flexibility issues for when I want to use it with acoustic mainly. But yeah, I'm really happy with it. I think this is great. And what I love about this is I can take this to a gig, and check this out. There's an amp out, and when you use the amp out, it bypasses the amp and the cab. So you put the amp out into the front of your amp and have the 3 snapshots for clean, crunchy, or heavy. And then you run the line out to the PA, which has the emulation. And you're good to go. That's great. Or you just go direct, or you just go to amp. It's really flexible. Again, all you guys that reviewed it said the same thing. For the price, it's absolutely amazing. I mean, there's delay pedals that cost, like, what was this? This is like $450, right? So there's delay pedals that cost that much money. And you could just use this for delay and EQ if you want to. So let me come over to the chat. I want to see what you guys are saying, because I have no idea. Hang on. Please show the screen. Was I not showing the screen? Was I showing the screen like that? Or was there just a delay? There is like a 20-second lag. Hopefully you can see what I see. David says, I think you can use some parallel stuff in your path. No, it's one path only. So you can't have 2 paths. It's only one path. Please correct me if I'm wrong, Chad Boston or whoever's watching. Okay, let me put this guitar down. I want to show you the acoustic stuff because I think that's pretty interesting. Just let me know if you can't see. Someone said, can you show the screen again? So do let me know if you can see it. I'll just switch now. Can you see that? That should have switched to the screen. Right. Now there's one thing. My biggest disappointment with this is the tuner. I'll tell you why in a second. Just grabbing the other guitar. And make sure I change presets, because otherwise it's gonna have distortion, right? I don't want that. We go to the maintenance. Yeah, it's just a lag, right? All right, hang on. I'm getting there, Kevin. I'm getting there. Don't rush me. There's no rush, right? Yeah, I will say this. The tuner, it has the strobe tuner, but it's not as responsive. It's much more jumpy than the Helix one is. I'm just going to tune it now. Hang on. It gets the job done, but check this out. Hang on. Yeah, it gets the job done, but it's not as such a pleasant experience as the Helix tuner is. The Helix strobe mode is awesome now. I would like to see this. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the screen, the technology. I don't know. And it does get you there. As I said, if I just play this again, you can hear it's in tune. Okay, it's in tune, but it's not as fast to use as the Helix one is, if that makes sense. All right, let me show you the acoustic setting here. I think it's pretty cool. So, I have, this is great. If you're an acoustic player, this has a lot of stuff that you'll want, but I'm going to finish up with the MIDI stuff that Alec has found, which I think is something you might miss. We'll see. The input is the guitar. The input gate is off. I don't really need the noise gate on my acoustic, but it's nice to have it there, I guess, in case you do. I put a simple pitch first, simply because I might want to do some pitch stuff. Let's see what it sounds like. I'm going to mute my microphone while I do this. And I don't want the reverb on when I do that either. Let me turn that off. So that's okay. That's pretty good. Obviously, that's not going to get any love. Like the 3.0 Helix stuff, I think that could be really cool. If it is, this isn't going to get it. I think that's good enough for looping. Um, if you just play single notes, it's pretty darn good for bass lines. The latency isn't too bad. I think that's usable. And I've not really had any octave effects that I've really liked with acoustic for bass lines anyway. And this is probably one of the better ones I've used. But I haven't used many of them. So take that with a grain of salt. Now I have the wah there because I may as well have it. I guess I could use that for something else though, right? It doesn't have to be, oh, it does have to be a wah. Let me see. Yeah, it has to be a wah. Well, I don't know if I would use wah with the acoustic. That's the only effect I may not use. But again, maybe for some soloing, it could be nice. Or even like a funky rhythm, like Bill Withers type thing. It could be cool. So I've loaded the Studio Tube preamp simply because people keep talking about it. It is cool that it gives you the low cut and the polarity. This is the only effect that I know of on here that gives you the polarity. All right. So I don't want to play, I have to keep playing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag the looper to the beginning and do my old looper trick. Let me record some strum. I've got to do this with one hand. This will be not easy to do. Hang on. Okay, so what you're hearing now is I'm not strumming and not hearing the vocal mic. You're only hearing the guitar. That's the direct signal you're hearing there. But let me turn off everything to show you what everything's doing because that's not really fair with the effects on. Okay. Oh, Kevin says on acoustic with some reggae stuff, it's effective. Yeah, I have used it occasionally. It's just not something I would use all the time. But yeah, I'm not against having it. It's not like I won't ever use it. It's just probably the one I use the least unless I start playing reggae covers. All right, so let me show you this thing. I've recorded the loop at the start, so whatever I do now will be represented when I play the loop back. Check this out. Okay, I'll turn the preamp on. Obviously, it turned the volume up. But what you can do is, I'm not playing right now, I'm just playing the loop back. But what you can do now is you can use this low cut. So check this out. Now what's really cool here is you can assign this to a snapshot. So for your fingerstyle snapshot, you could bring it up to 140, and for your rhythm snapshot, you could take it down to 80. Lately, with a bass heavy acoustic, I've been running it around 120 actually, but it depends on the room, the speakers and everything. So right now I'll leave it on say 100, because this guitar has quite a lot of low end. You've got the high cut. I probably wouldn't use that unless I had a really quacky acoustic, like basic pickup. And then the level here, which you can adjust. Mic online, I put it online. I don't really know why, just because I'm plugging the guitar in, I guess. And this is interesting. When you get feedback issues with acoustic, you can switch the polarity. This is the only block that has it. So this can be really powerful for acoustic. Check this out. You might hear a difference. And what you want to do is choose the one that you prefer the low end response of the most. So I quite like that inverted one. If you're getting feedback, you can try to switch that. That's like a phase thing, right? So that could be really useful. Now the gain control, you can add some saturation. So if you bring that up, and let me try that. I've never done that before. Let's see what it sounds like. I'll bring the level down. I'll bring the gain up. I actually really like that. I kind of like that like that. Let me try it on the mic setting. Ooh. Can you hear that distortion? I quite like it. I don't want too much, but I quite like that. Yeah, I mean, the thing is to start with a great pickup. This pickup is really good to start with. Okay, so that's important. But it sounds better with that, I think, even though it's louder. Check it out. It's just making it louder. But here's the thing, the EQ block here, and I'll come back to the IR. The EQ block, I've already played with it, so you can really go to town. There's some $1,000 preamps for acoustic that don't have this kind of flexibility. Check this out. That made a huge difference because I have the treble turned up here. I can select the Q, which is how wide the EQ band is. I can select the frequency. I can do another low cut, another high cut, a level, and everything. There's so many bands of EQ here. Some musicians, some guitarists may even want to use this just for EQ, this pedal, because it's acoustic is very important with some pickups to EQ them correctly. So this is really, really powerful. With the preamp, I mean, I don't need the studio preamp. I'm glad it's there, but with the preamp and the EQ, it's very powerful. Okay, so that in itself is absolutely amazing. That's so powerful right there. Then of course we're going to have a delay, and of course we're going to have. Oh, this Kevin, this is the AP5 Pro with a mic and an undersaddle. But I will show you an impulse response. Just hold on, hold your horses there, and remember this is just an overview today. Check out Thursday. I've got James May from Tone Dexter coming in to talk about impulse responses specifically. Of course, I want some reverb, so here's the reverb. Very nice, very long. I'll just bring that down. This looper at the beginning is an absolute helper. Okay, you can really hear what's happening. And that's it. Then I've got a volume pedal, which is great for swells. Great for swells. And I would like to have a looper. Well, looper's at the beginning, so all I do is drag it. Once I've done my sound check, I drag it to the end, and I'm ready to play my gig. And I can just play the loop I already recorded. Very cool, very cool. Now, let me show you what it sounds like with the impulse response. I'll bring this back to the start again. Okay, I'm going to clear that loop out. Well, I don't need to clear it. I'm going to re-record it. I'm going to turn the microphone off. This is what your typical undersaddle pickup sounds like. Actually, this is better than most. Most of them sound worse than this. Let me turn off the preamp. Let me just bring the volume down. It's all a bit loud. Yeah, this isn't the best example because this pickup is so good. No, it's not good. I had the microphone turned on. Had the vocal mic on. Let me turn the vocal mic off and do that again. Check out how quacky this is. There's got to be a better word than quacky, but it's kind of plasticky. Okay, now I'll play it with the mic turned up again. Check out the difference. I don't think anyone will say they preferred the sound of the first one, okay? But here's the thing. This is a big topic, impulse responses for acoustic. I think you need an impulse response made for your guitar, ideally. I'll talk about this with James on Thursday. Please come on Thursday at 4 p.m. We're going to talk all about impulse responses. He makes the Tone Dexter, which creates an impulse response of your guitar, which is really cool. And I think that's the way forward. But let's see if we can make this sound better. Because what if you don't have a good pickup? What if you don't have access to a microphone in the guitar? What if you've got feedback problems? What if you want to record direct? Yeah, Thomas, I agree. Wish they would do an AER amp, but a Fishman for acoustic. The thing is, though, I don't know if it's worth modeling a solid state amp for acoustic. I don't know if but the EQ would be useful. I think I'd like to have the EQ on that preamp as well. So the amp and the preamp for that block, and then the EQ block could be a boost or other things. Yeah, I agree, but I kind of get why they haven't done it. The most important thing with acoustic is having a good pickup to start with. But let's try the impulse response and see what it sounds like. That microphone is on, hang on. That's a heck of a difference, right? Let me turn the impulse response off and I'll show you the two back to back. Okay, I think the bare pickup does not sound good at all. I think the IR sounds great, a bit bright, but I can change that with EQ on this block or a high cut. And the real mic, the third one was the real mic, which I think sounds the best. And never, ever, ever use, well, be careful if you use a impulse response with a mic. If your pickup has a mic, don't use it. Okay, the impulse response is really replacing the microphone. So bear that in mind. You can try it. It might say, with these things, you have to try them. Sometimes they sound good. But as the rule, the theory behind it really means that shouldn't really work. And also, you really want an impulse response created with your guitar. And also, I will add this. Although with these in-ear headphones on right now, it sounds amazing to me, honestly. Once you go into a room, it might not. You have to bear that in mind. Sometimes in a room, these impulse responses sound too disconnected, not enough power. You lose the feel that we talk about with the real amps. That can really happen with these. But for recording, these are absolutely amazing. What did you think of them when I played through them? I'm going to come back to your comments quickly. The law. Oh, I have to keep moving the thing around. Hey, Aaron, how do you like the unit in comparison to Stomp? Well, here's the thing. I'm going to get to that as my conclusion, so I'll get back to you. Sorry about that. Parallel stuff, not really. There's only one path. Thomas Moore says, if you want to use it as a pedal board with the amp out, would this or the HX Effect be the best choice? You know, it always gets me that HX Effects doesn't have any amp models in it. And I think it's also more money. I think what you got to do, you got to be honest with yourself. You got to sit down and think, right, how many effects do I use? Some players use a wah and a distortion, and that's it. So in that case, you can be informed for one decision. If you play in a church and use loads of effects, this might not be enough for you. You might want the full helix. I'm always going to default to getting the full helix because it's got everything. There's no compromises. But it's more expensive and it's heavy, and that puts a lot of people off. I think if you can get over that, it's totally worth it. But if you want something the best value, it's got to be this one. And if you own an amp and you want to get into the world of modeling and digital stuff, it's got to be this one. Because the HX Effects for me is very interesting, and I will look into that for acoustic, but it's just, I keep wanting those other things there. And like the fact it doesn't have the noise gate on the input block. Those little things, you can't use a 2-button foot switch with that one. There's too many compromises on that one for me to really recommend it right now. But then again, that might change in the future. So I think if you can wait and get a Podgo when there's a sale on or something, then you're laughing. Then that's the thing to do. But if you end up loving it and you're thinking, this is great, this is changing the way I play, just get a full helix. Honestly, again, just wait till they're on sale to get one. Because I sometimes get limited by the full helix, and I'm not even that adventurous. So Just my opinion. David says, one path that you can make some parallel effects. Chad Boston, do you know? Does anybody know the answer to that? Kevin's steadily working on one screen, listening on the other. Nice. Yeah, man, we're going to talk about MIDI, and we're going to finish with MIDI because that's really exciting me right now. The wire and acoustic. It's not the Anthem, it's the AP5 Pro, which is one of the most highly regarded pickups on the planet. So it's also not a third-party pickup, though. I should do one with one of those next to make it more fair. Could you take this and get away with modeling acoustics from electric like we're doing Helix with lens presets? I haven't really tried them. Do you mean make the electric sound like the acoustic, or do you mean make the acoustic sound more like an acoustic? This will also switch amps via the aux out, yeah? Okay, well, my tube amp uses MIDI to switch, so it's not going to work as far as I know. That's my biggest complaint. But then again, this isn't really meant for people with a MIDI amp channel changing amp, is it? So Thomas said, I wish they would do an AR amp with a Fishman or acoustic. Yeah, I agree. Again, I wish there was something like an acoustic amp, but then I don't really know how you'd model an acoustic amp. It's just an EQ, basically, isn't it? David's back again. Really, the acoustic, the mic DI, and the impulse response and the EQ should do much more for you than an acoustic amp ever would. But you have to set it up. Yeah, I just thought actually I could use the preamp of what's a solid state amp? Like the jazz chorus? Some people do that. But I think it'll add some harshness. That's why I don't want to use it. I think the solution here is the preamp to warm up the tone, the impulse response to add the mic-like ability with the mix control, and then the EQ to shape that sound with a nice reverb, volume pedal, delay. That's why I'm thinking this is great for acoustic players. And it's all in one. You don't have to add another MIDI pedal. You don't have to add any more foot switches. Everything is there. And if you want to play some electric as well, which let's face it, we all do. We all want to plug in our electric and our acoustic to these things. This will do both. That's why I like it. Okay. So let me put this guitar, unless there's anything else you want to see, let me put this guitar down. I want to talk to you about the MIDI thing. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, what's my conclusion? My conclusion is that thing is absolutely amazing for the money, and I love the way it just sits on my desk here. And I do believe it works as an audio interface as well, so you can play through it. I think for the money, that's absolutely amazing. If you're on the fence, or if you need a backup, the reason I wanted this is, well, if I ever start playing gigs again, what a great thing to have. If you're the singer and you take a PA system, if you get a guitar bag that holds this and your electric, what a great thing to walk in with this and your full PA and just play the band gig. That's a really cool thing. Or if you want to take your combo amp to run a line out into that for stage monitoring as well. Cheers, everybody. But I want to do some acoustic investigations, so I'm going to, while I've got the Podgo, the Helix, and the Stomp, I want to pull them all out and see which one I do feel is best for acoustic. Now, this is where Alec comes in. You think, Alec? Yeah, but you won't be able to assign switches, right? You'd have to use a different MIDI controller, which isn't the end of the world. Let's talk about Quantiloop, because this is really exciting. So this little adapter is turned out to be really useful. This is the official Apple iPhone Lightning USB adapter. You have to get one of these. And the reason is that if you just plug this into the USB port of Helix and play something, it plays music. So in an interval of a gig, you can plug your phone in, you can play music without adding a path or anything. That's really useful. The other reason this is amazing is that we've been talking about using external loopers, because although the new command center in Helix is great and you can now have a 2-button looper, you can actually have an amazing looper with an iPhone. And this is how you do it. And this is just my initial reaction to what we've been doing with Alec. This is not the full conclusion. I just want to tell you what we're working on. Because all you do is you plug this into your phone. That's right, your phone. You don't need to use a big iPad. And that's attractive to me. So you plug it in there. And you plug this USB into the Helix. Now what that does is it sends MIDI and audio. So with one cable, you get the MIDI and the audio covered. So all I need is the Quantiloop app, which I have right here, which is a really great app, been around for a long time and works really reliably. When you first get it, you think, oh my goodness, this is scaring me, I don't want to use it. But you just have to learn it. So, and you know, we'll do some topics on this and some videos. And Alec already has some. So please put your YouTube channel link, Alec. Check them out. They've been very helpful to me. But I want to show you how I use it as well. So this is the app. And then what you can do is you can assign this to foot switches on Helix. And you can basically create your own looper. So you could just, at the very least, rather than use the Helix looper, which could be a 2-button looper if you program it correctly, is limited by the time constraints of about a minute. This can record for as long as you want. And if you add another button, you could have a second track. Now, Helix doesn't have that. So with this on the mic stand, on your mic stand while you're playing, and you don't have to use this, you're using the controls on the Helix, you can just start recording track 1, play, record track 2, play. You've got a 2-button looper with long recording time with one cable from an iPhone. That's really cool. And it's you know, I cover some things, I talk about some things that I find a bit gimmicky, but this is actually the real deal. Thank you, Alec. This is the real deal. The other thing you can do is you can link a drum machine app to it. So rather than use the metronome in here, if you want to do looping to a click track, you can have the drum app assigned. And then when you press record, it gives you a 1, 2, 3, 4 at the tempo of the Helix, if the Helix is sending the time command. This is why we need to cover this in detail. So all you do, this is what you do. And this is why I love it. You go to your Helix, you start playing, and you tap in 1, 2, 3, 4. You hit record. It gives you that 1, 2, 3, 4 over audio, either through in-ears or through the PA, whatever you want to do. And it starts recording, and the drums come on. You get a drummer playing really high-quality drums. And then when you hit stop, it loops that with a drummer. And if you have this all set up correctly, which I finally figured out, you could have that stay in sync. So it's synced to the drummer. And then what you can do is you can do another loop independent on another foot switch if you want. Or you could just do that. You could have 2 switches, one of which starts a drummer, and you just start jamming over the drummer. That in itself is incredible. But to then think you could actually have more of these switches on there as well, like you have an undo. And you can even use your hand, of course, because there is a reverse, a transpose, and the transpose sounds awesome. And there's a reverse. You can just reach over and hit reverse. It reverses the loop. So you don't have to put that on the board on the Helix if you don't use it all the time. This is a game changer. This is amazing. This is like a Beat Buddy and Eros looper in your phone for the cost of like $30, whatever the apps are, $30. And this adapter, $50. And then, of course, you can also play music from the Helix. This really unlocks the Helix for solo musicians like myself. So tell me if you think that's exciting. I think it's absolutely incredible. I've had so much fun just playing over drums, looping over a drum and playing to the drum track. The only thing missing is the bass, and that's where the 3.0 pitch stuff comes into play, because that will allow me to add a really good sounding bass, I hope. Although the bass in the regular pitch shifter is pretty good. But just playing the drums is a load of fun. And here's the even better thing. If you tap the tempo while that drums and the loop is playing, it speeds up without losing quality. It sounds like a real recording. It doesn't get all weird and pixelated. It doesn't get all weird and have artifacts. It sounds really great. So this is, Alec, one of the best loopers I've used. And with a MIDI controller, it doesn't have to be Helix, it could be any MIDI controller. But with this one adapter and one cable to your Helix, see, it's routing the audio as well. The loop that's recorded is then routed through this. So you don't have to have 2 cables like you normally would. You just have one cable on this adapter, and you can have one of the most powerful loopers in the world. And thank you to Alec for showing that to me. And I will have him on next week to talk about it once we've done some more investigations. And I will make videos on how to use it in my own, how I'm using it as well for my channel. Check out his channel. He has it all on there. He inspired me, so I've got to give him a shout out. Really great stuff. I mean, I hate MIDI stuff. It does my head in, but in this case, it's definitely worth it. Let's see what you guys think about that. Alex says he thinks maybe we can use that in Podgo. I don't know, because there's no command center, so you can't assign the commands, right? But you could just use your hand. You could just press track 1, it would count you in, use Podgo, and you have to stop it somehow. You really need a controller. That's why the Helix is so good for this. That's why this has thrown the spanner in the works, because this one feature alone suddenly makes the Helix totally worthwhile. I can't believe I haven't done this before. Android, I don't know. Does anyone know about that? Because with the iPhone, obviously you're using this iPhone adapter. You need to get the equivalent for the Android or use an iPad. iPad's even better, but I always like the smallest thing possible. So the iPhone on the stand, and you just load the app and just forget about it. You just get on with it. It's great. Yeah, we're going to investigate this. This is huge. I think this is why the Helix doesn't have an advanced looper, because they know you can just do it with the MIDI. Honestly, it'd be very hard for Line 6 to make a looper that's as good as this in the phone. Because think of the power the phone has. You just use it for the looping only. You could even play backing tracks through it as well. It's really cool. Yeah, Alec, I want to do it. I want to do it at one of my shows on Saturdays. I've got some tracks of real drums and bass, like cover songs. I want to play cover songs with the Helix and that app, and I want to loop over the backing track and then solo over the back over the. That's my big goal. Drums and bass, live or fake, real band or backing tracks, and then I get to the chorus at the end. It's looping around 3 chords. So I record a loop over the track, which is my real guitar, and then I can play single notes over that and build a huge sounding track, and then have it fade out. This has a fade out feature, so the whole thing just fades out. Haven't got that working yet, but it's in there. This is called Quantaloop. Alec Bourne says there's another app for bass. Well, I have to try that. I don't really want to. I tried the MIDI controller thing. It's cool, but I don't really want to stick MIDI controllers to my guitars. I want to do it all from the phone. Thomas, that's called Quantaloop. And the drum machine that I'm using is very cool. It's a Soft Drummer and Rock Drummer, both made by the same company, Soft Drummer. There's also apps like the DM1 drum machine where you can just type in your own, like an MPC. MPC, is that right? So on the fly, you can make your own beats and play over them. That could be really powerful as well. But this app was kind of playing back on itself, and I tried that. So I had a few issues with that. I'm sure it's just my setup. But yeah, so pretty darn amazing, I have to say. Yeah, I think I might invite Alec on for a whole. Once we've both really got our heads around it and made a bunch of videos on it, then we might go live together and discuss in detail if he wants to do that. I don't know why more people don't know about this stuff. I knew about MIDI, I knew about the apps, but I never thought about using it together and controlling it with the Helix. That's such an obvious and amazing idea. Right, so if you have Quantaloop on the iPad, plug in the connection kit. The problem is those new iPads with USB-C, they can be a pain in the butt. But if you have the old iPad with the headphone out and just the regular Lightning, get that camera connection kit, plug it in, and you'll have a lot of fun. But it's not easy to get it up and running. There's a few things you have to know about. We really need to make like a guide on how to do that, because it's not exactly plug and play, as MIDI never is, unfortunately. That's one reason why I never really get into it. Android can do some stuff, isn't quite. Yeah, iOS is great for music apps. It really is. So if you can get, I tell you, you know what's amazing are those iPads that came out last year. They're around $300, and they're for the money. They're absolutely incredible. They work great. I mean, I'm using the latest iPhone, which has a lot of power for this stuff. But those iPads that came out last year, around $300, they're absolutely incredible. Get one of those and use it with the Helix. That's a great idea. Oh, Ed B uses the same apps. The same apps. The drums sound great, don't they? And funk, yeah. I want to get them all, but they're like $30 each. So I didn't want to go crazy. I just got 2 of them. Alec, yeah, we're going to work on this, Alec. I think this has a lot of potential, and it's already sounding great. I wish I could demo it right now, but I'm not going to, because I still too much to get my head around. But it is working. Basically, I can turn the apps on, forget about them, they're good to go. I can hit a button, I get a 1, 2, I can tap the tempo, hit a button, I get 1, 2, 3, 4, I play along with drums, I hit play, it's perfectly in sync, it stays in sync, which is a huge thing with a looper. And then I can have a second track completely independent of the first one, or I can do series like a song parts if I want to. I don't do that, but I could do that. And then, of course, I can change the volumes and things on the fly as well if I need to. And then I can also, I'm sure, assign buttons for fills. So I hit a button on the Helix and it does a drum fill, that kind of stuff. So if you know a bass player, this is amazing. You can have a 3-piece band with this thing. Now, obviously, you need to go into the drummer app and program the drums and it's just going to be loops and not backing tracks. It's not. I don't think I'm quite ready to go and make a band with this thing yet. But for playing at home, it makes the Helix 10 times more fun. Because suddenly, rather than just sitting there playing, like when I showed you the pod, I'm just playing chords, right? It's nothing. When you have a drum groove going and you've got a loop over the drum groove, and then you do another part over that, that's huge. Because that you feel like you're playing in a band almost. It's really great. It's what I'm looking for. I want to get more sound. I want to get more interesting things going on. And of course, there's other apps you can use as well. You could even have a keyboard app on the phone and play the bass line in with your finger if you play keyboard. That's an idea as well. So there's completely limited to your imagination. But I have to say, even if you just use Quantaloop as a 2-button looper with no time restrictions, unlimited recording time, it's totally worth it. It's better than the Helix looper. The Helix looper isn't really worth setting up as a 2-button looper when you can just use Quantaloop instead, because it's incredibly responsive. It has a longer loop time, and if you want to go crazy, you can have a 4-track looper, which even like the Headrush looper board and those products, they're not really there yet. So this is a great discovery, and I thank Alec for finding that. I give him full credit, but I'm going to work on it, and I want to post about it too. So I think people need to know about this. Awesome. Thomas, thank you. Nice pod go. I have an M9 and thinking of upgrading. Yeah, there would be a nice upgrade from the M9 or the HX effects. If you don't want to use amps at all, look at the HX effects. It does have Command Center, which will do the looping stuff. So that could be an option. The way I see it is Line 6 are very clever. They made the Helix the flagship product, and then they broke it down into new products, which are just spin-offs of the Helix with compromises. If you want a no compromise experience, just get a Helix floor. That is my honest opinion. But if you want to get something affordable and you only play electric and some acoustic, get the Pod Go. If you want to do the MIDI stuff, look at the LT. I mean, LT would be a great option too. HX effects, anything with the Command Center. And we don't know if Stomp is getting that. It may get it. It's still limited on buttons. So that's all kind of a headache, which one to get. So if you can afford it, just get the full Helix. You won't regret it, especially with 3.0 coming around the corner with lots of new stuff in there. I'm sure that will become even more a flagship product. But the Pod Go is great if you're new to this stuff. I've got a friend who just bought a Kemper. He hasn't taken it out of the box yet. So I feel like this would have been better for him in a way, because it's just more simple. It's just less to get into. And then if he gets crazy and wants to really go for it, you could get a Kemper or sort of a full Helix and go fully digital. But I think this is a great entry point for anyone to get. No, I really like it. I'm going to leave it on my desk here and use it for these things. But I will be making some patches too for acoustic. But more importantly, I'll be showing you how to make patches, because there's no point me making a patch for my acoustic and giving it to you. You need to make the patch for your own guitar. So try and tune in on Thursday. I've got James May, who makes the Tone Dexter, and that is a pedal which will create an impulse response for your guitar. That's really incredible. That is what you need to do to get the absolute best results, in my opinion. Until then, these 3 Sigma impulses are pretty damn good. Great companion for rock drummer. iBassist. Okay. Same developers. Okay. Oh, very cool. Thank you, Ed. I will. I love doing these hangouts. I learn new stuff all the time. iBassist. Let me type that in right now, because I don't want to forget what that is. Have you tried that one, Alec? iBassist. Only problem is that these apps are all so expensive, right? That's why I want to test them all first before I start recommending them myself. iBassist. Oh, is that iPad only? Is that iPad only? I think the iPad, I have an iPad and it would be a better option to use it. But I feel like I want these things to work on the phone, just because when I play, I always have the phone on the mic stand. It would just be easier. So I guess iBassist is probably on the iPad only. Alex says, if you stick to traditional amps, Fender Vox, HFX, and Iridium with those IRs is a winner. Yeah, but the HX effects and the Iridium is expensive. I would personally, I have to disagree. I think if you want traditional amps, if you just use a clean amp, Pod Go into the clean amp, done. If you want a million effects, HX effects or full Helix, I think. I would go full Helix. And then you have the option of doing either way. Iridium for me is just too fiddly. because I have to use the MIDI and set it all up and blah 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 blah. And I don't think it sounds that much better anyway. So I don't know. I think if you use a clean amp, the Pod Go is great because you can plug it straight into the clean amp and do either or. Just my opinion, Alec. 17 each, which isn't cheap, but for what they do worth it. Yeah, I agree. They're great apps. They sound really good. Yeah, so if you find a bassist app for the phone, let me know. I probably should get the iPad apps as well, so I can try them as well. I'm sure they're better. I'm sure they've got more features, and I'm sure it's a better idea to use an iPad than it is to use a phone. But I love when I get to an acoustic gig, I pull out my phone, I stick it on the mic stand, I plug in one adapter cable, and I've got that other stuff. I know that I just know I'm personally not going to bother taking the iPad, even though I should do, because it's probably better to take that. I want to find a solution for both that works on both. And that might just be me, but if I can find apps that work on the phone and the iPad, then that's better for me. But I will try the iBassist app on the iPad just in case it blows me away, and it's totally worth using it. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that. Yeah, that's the direction I'm going. Then I'm doing more. I want to do more cover more acoustic stuff. This week I have really great guests. Tomorrow I've got Taya Gherkin, who was the editor of Acoustic Guitar magazine for many years, reviewed a lot of products over the time. He's on tomorrow, 4 p.m. Wednesday I have Chris Martin Guitar. That's going to be awesome. Thursday I have James May, Tone Dexter, talking about using IRs with acoustic. And Friday, I have another great guest, of course, the one and only Joe B from Yamaha Guitars. So I have great guests this week. Please do join me and watch out for any videos I post about the Pod Go or the acoustic guy or whatever, the acoustic stuff. I'll be uploading videos as well as those interviews, but I have some really great interviews this week. I'm really excited to have them. So yeah, please do subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to ring that bell, because if you ring the bell when I go live, it will tell you I'm live and you'll know you can come and join the show. So yeah, I'd really appreciate it if you can come this week and bring your questions for the guests, because they're really great guests, and I'm really glad that they agreed to do this. That's really pretty awesome. I'll keep working on the MIDI stuff. I will update you soon. Perhaps I'll go live with Alec and we'll both talk about the pros and cons of that. And that would be a really great discussion, I think. And regarding the pedals, yeah, Podgo is great. I might do an official review. I might not. It's great. It's exactly what I thought it would be, which is a good thing. I would like to see if the MIDI stuff can work with that USB port, but I think with the Podgo, don't expect too much. It is what it is. It's a great value, portable pedal. That's exactly what they went for, and it's exactly what they did. So yeah, if there's no more questions, I will end it here, and I'll see you tomorrow at 4 p.m. EST with Taya. Yeah, me too, Ed. I'm surprised more people haven't covered it, because honestly, it's so easy. If you've got an iPhone and this cheap adapter and a USB cable, which we all have the USB cable anyway, why wouldn't you do it? It's absolutely incredible. It's so much better than the looper and the Helix. The Helix looper, in my opinion, is just a basic looper for sound check. You can play the guitar, tweak, move it to the end, play, walk around the front, listen to your mix with the band playing, and play the gig. It's not a performance looper. The Quantaloop looper is a performance looper, and it's pretty darn incredible. And the fact that it can then sync up with other apps as well, it may be the missing link for me, but we'll see. I haven't gone too crazy yet, because it is MIDI, it is a phone, it's another thing to carry around. It's more to think about, and MIDI is not exactly easy to use, but I think it's worth it in this case. No, thank you, Alec, for telling me about that app. You've mentioned it so many times, and I've kind of, in the past, I've been like, well, it's MIDI, the phone might die, blah, 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 blah. It's not worth it. 2.9's adding the 2-button looper is all I need. And then I plug it in yesterday because I'm at home all day, and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, even as a 2-button looper, this thing slays most other loopers. This is incredible. And it hasn't crashed on me, knock on wood. It's been working great. Like I said, one cable, couple of buttons on your Helix, which is now obviously easier with the new command center, because I can have snapshot 1, snapshot 2, snapshot 3, 2-button looper, a few buttons, good to go. Yeah, Kevin, I think you'll like the Quantaloop stuff a lot. Yeah, because this is a looper you can customize for the way you loop. You're not limited by the developer or the hardware anymore. You can set it up. You can have the buttons where you want. You can have the functions that you want. and you can tie it in with a drummer as well. So I'm not saying it's easy, but there's a lot of potential, and even just as a tool to play along with at home, it's really fun. I'll tell you that. Like this morning, I was playing along. I had the guitar record again. I told you already. I'll tell you one more time. Guitar rhythm part recorded to the drums. It stayed in sync, which is huge because some loopers won't stay in sync. They will drift out. So this is huge. It's using MIDI clock to stay in sync with the app, and then you play over it, and you feel like you're in a band. You feel like you're playing in a rehearsal room with a drummer and another guitar player. It's so much more fun than just playing alone. Now I do have backing tracks on my channel. I do have you can get the Beat Buddy, etc., etc. But if you just want to get into this world and just you have an iPhone already, then this is a great solution. And for some professionals, it might be a better solution because again, you can design your own looper. How cool is that? That's why MIDI is great when you can basically get a board and put the stuff on it that you want. That's a really cool thing. And that's another option, getting a MIDI board and assigning HX stomp commands or whatever you want and looper commands. Make your own board basically, or a helix rack, and then make your own MIDI board with your own stuff, completely customized. Yeah, I think you're going to like it. I should have done a demo today. It's actually pretty amazing. I'll do it soon. I'll post something soon on the group, and next week when I've had more time to really dial it in and know exactly what I'm talking about, we'll go live with Alec, and I'll show you what I've done on the stream. We'll talk about how cool it is, and then maybe I'll make a video showing all my settings and everything, because I'm sure my settings are different to Alec's. So we'll both post videos. So subscribe to Alec's channel and mine, and keep your eye out open. But so far, it's really, really exciting what's happening with that. All right, my friends, I'm going to leave you now, but thank you so much for joining me. Podgo is great. Look out for them. If you see a good deal on one, get it. It's a great thing to have, even as a backup. Honestly, it's really cool. And watch out for those looper videos. And please join me this week every day. The guests this week are some of the best I've ever had. I'm really stoked about it. All right, thank you, everybody. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. It's been awesome. I will see you again soon. If anything you want me to cover on the Podgo, do send me a message or leave a comment below. I'm happy to talk about it. Now I have it here as well. I'll try and do some presets as well for my guitar. Again, not saying they'll work great for your guitar, but maybe I can do some videos explaining how I made them, and then you can use that knowledge to tweak them. All right, be well, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow, 4 p.m. EST. I'll see you then. Bye-bye. Thank you.